Welcome to Uniquely Brilliant, a podcast for creative, quirky, and extraordinary thinkers of all ages and the people who love them. We encourage, inspire, and provide strategies to motivate you to embrace your unique brilliance and realize your potential for success. Hi, I'm Diana Bader, also known as Coach Di. I encourage teens and young adults to become who they are and develop personal success through self-awareness and positivity. You can find me at freshcanvascoaching.com, follow and like the Fresh Canvas Facebook page, or follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Coach Di.
Hello there, I'm Becky Berry. I am a performance coach who helps people level up their lives by smoothing out the relationship between their work lives and their personal lives. You can find my website at beckyberrycoach.com. I'm on Twitter at Becky Berry Coach, and you can find me on my Facebook page, Becky Berry Coach.
Together we are here sharing our thoughts, insights, and experiences from our own uniquely brilliant perspective. All right, we're back. Today is episode 89, and it's How to Get Things Done.
Yep.
Based on one of Becky's favorite books, Getting Things Done by David Allen.
Yeah, it's an old book. I mean, it was first published. Old book, listen to me. It's not like Dickens or anything, I promise. I promise. It's not that old. But it was first published in 2001.
Okay.
And there was a new issue in 2015, which I got. A new edition in 2015, which I bought. So I found Getting Things Done when I first started coaching and started on this particular entrepreneurial journey through two people, Daniel Pink and Michael Hyatt, who I respect a lot. I think John Naster probably talks about it too, because he's like the original guru for harnessing all that stuff that's in your brain and being able to get things done.
Okay.
So when I got the book, it had all this interesting stuff in it, all these intros, and then I read the first paragraph of the first chapter, and I went, oh, and then I really was hooked.
Okay.
So in his first paragraph, he says, it's possible for a person to have an overwhelming number of things to do and still function productively with a clear head, at which point I went, ha, and a positive sense of relaxed control, double ha. So he says, it's a great way to live and work. Then he says it's also the best way to be fully present with whatever you're doing, appropriately engaged in the moment. It's when you're in your zone. And I was like, but I can't ever stay fully in my zone because there's always things zapping through my brain.
Yeah.
When I'm supposedly in my zone. when I'm working through my to-do list and I'm doing this stuff and here comes something and here comes something and here comes something.
Yeah, all the squirrels you're chasing.
Yeah, so I'm like, what? How can you possibly do that? So I was hooked.
That makes total sense to me. I mean, and that happens to everybody, and I think it's just getting worse. Well, there's just so many more squirrels to chase.
Well, I didn't know, as we know it and have discussed before, I didn't know that was okay to be like that. Because I've always been like that.
That's true.
But that's part of that innovation thing that I have, where I'm always like looking for the next bright, shiny thing, whether I want to or not.
Yeah,
whether I want to or not. And then, I kept reading in the book, and he gives a methodology for handling all this stuff. And you pulled up the website, which, Bad Becky, I'd never even looked at.
Well, I've never read the book, so
Miss Tech Queen, though. I mean, it's so funny when I have a book, I really stick with the book.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily look online.
I usually do too, but and I liked that he had this methodology just right there on the landing page,
right?
Because so many books and so many web pages you go to, you have to dig around for a while,
right?
And that doesn't help with that capture piece at all, which is the first piece, because you're chasing squirrels, you're going down rabbit holes trying to find what you're looking for.
And getting distracted.
Mm-hmm. So I really like that from a website point of view, he's actually practicing what he preaches.
Right, right. So the five steps, the five processes are capture, clarify, organize, reflect, and engage.
And I have to read below them because
read it.
I love these things, because under capture it says collect what has your attention.
We'll go back to that.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about these individually. Clarify is process the ideas. Organize is put it where it belongs. Man, do I say that to my kids all the time. Reflect is review it frequently.
Yeah, and we'll talk about that too. Yeah, it's important.
And then engage, simply do.
Yeah, I love that.
And wow, I mean, yeah.
You'd think like, duh.
Yeah,
Duh.
But usually it's those duh things that are the ones you do the least.
Right? So let's start with step 1, which is capture, which I use an app called Noseby to do, and I've used it since I started. Well, I've used it off and on since I started. We'll just put it that way. Because the core concept of getting things done is to capture every single thing that's on your mind. Like right there in Noseby right now is to dye my eyebrows, fix a button, probably grocery shopping's on there. I try to put that in there. Then I've got appointments with clients. I've got deadlines. You want to even capture the things you want to do in the future. Go to England, Scotland, Ireland, and Wales because, again, the point is to get it all out of your head and captured somewhere. Some people use file folders. You can use anything.
Yeah, and this is hard for me too. I use my phone. I've gotten more used to using, especially my photo app on my phone.
Yep.
Because I was at orientation for my son a couple weeks ago, and they didn't have handouts, and so they're showing all these awesome slides with all these websites, and I couldn't keep up. I actually, in the first session, I didn't even have a notebook with me. I went to the school store and bought one halfway through, but I'm taking pictures of the slides because there was just so much information that I didn't want to forget. But yeah, you've got to have it somewhere. One of my favorites in my office is my whiteboards.
Yeah,
because they're right there. But yeah,
I like that because you like to,
I have to see visual.
Yeah, you like visual. I like to write things down too. But you're way more patient than I am because we talk about this all the time, and I keep thinking, I do like to write things down. So why do I find that the app works better for me? Is because I have no patience for not having what I want exactly when I want it, which is a character flaw. Just saying. But it's something I can accommodate.
I wouldn't even call it a flaw. It's just it's part of your personality. And for me, you process so fast.
Yeah, that's what I was just thinking. That's how I go fast, is because if I have stuff with me what I need, then I can just go and I don't have to stop.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't have my phone with me all the time. So it's kind of pointless.
Right.
But when I do, I've got to get more in the habit, because it's always helpful, is to, use Siri and say, Siri, take a note.
Right.
And I've started, I watch a friend of mine, he does that all the time. And it's just so simple because I do lose the ideas in the processing.
Right. Exactly. I forgot I got a new phone. So now I can do, hey, Siri, hands-free. Mm-hmm. Uh-oh. You didn't hear me. But I've said that before and it started. So, yeah.
Yeah, we're using Siri right now.
We're using the phone
for the stopwatch, so we were afraid she was going to start talking.
Yeah, but I think that's brilliant. I love that. I use Evernote similarly because it captures everything. It's where I keep all my websites. It keeps links. Like if I'm on a website, there's a web clipper, so I can not only capture the site and the URL for the site, but I can also put it in a certain notebook. I can tag it so I can retrieve it. Well, and I don't always do that, but I at least capture it.
Well, and one of the things, and we'll get to, we were just talking about that, but one of the things for me is the capturing piece has got to be somewhere somewhat visual, but then following some of these other things, the clarifying and the organizing, that's where I like to put it into something like Evernote.
Like a technology thing.
Yeah, because then I know where it is. So it's like my personal filing cabinet.
All right, so let's go back and talk. Right. Exactly. That's exactly right. So he talks about right up front why things are on your mind. So this is so great. When you read these things, you're always like, yeah. Right, thank you.
Why things are on my mind?
Yeah. Well, these are really great. Listen, you haven't clarified exactly what the intended outcome is. Mm-hmm. Whoa, right? You haven't decided what the very next physical action step is, or you haven't put reminders of the outcome and the action required in a system you trust.
Okay.
Right? So like capturing it in your notebooks, Kennedy goes around with a moleskin all the time. Always has it. Always writing stuff in it. Looks like it's, been through the wars. I think he's on his, 5th or 6th one. But that's what he's doing. He's capturing it. He's capturing it. And these are why they're on your mind. And so if we don't ever take the time to clarify them or capture them and do something with them, they're always on our mind. Because our minds know that we want to get them done, and our brain is not capable of letting it go until it's done. It's just the way our brains are wired.
Yeah, it's always searching for, if you even plant a little bit of an idea, your brain constantly is searching for an answer to that idea. Something that's in your history.
And it's always looking for what's that next step you need to do, right?
Yeah.
Because he says, it knows if you've been through those steps.
Yeah.
It knows if you've been through those steps, which is crazy. I didn't know that. So the point is that your brain knows if you've taken this thought to completion. So it's going to pester you until you do. Does that ring any bells with anybody? I mean, seriously, insane.
Those things at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Well, there's a name for it. And this guy, Baumeister, some researcher, has done research on it. And it's called the cognitive load of incompleteness.
I think that's half my brain.
And one piece of it is that you haven't, the key piece is you haven't captured it in a trusted place. So your brain knows that you wrote it down. My brain knows that it's in Nosby. My brain knows I've put it somewhere because my thought was when I did it, whew, there it is. I'm not going to lose it. I'm not going to lose it. It is in my goals to go to England, Scotland, Ireland, and Wales. And I don't really much care about anywhere else. It knows that I want to get to the beach in September. But and then it let it go.
Yes.
But here's the thing I have found by doing this. It lets it go until there's an insight. And my insights are related in an exponential fashion to what I write down, what I capture. Because I've relieved that cognitive load. So we're always talking about the pause, and in the pause is where cognition happens. Because if you don't pause and relieve that cognitive load by putting in the right, there's no space. Yeah. I mean, literally, look, they proved what we've said.
Yep.
There's just literally no space. So just this whole process is so elegant. The 5 steps that help you get to that place are just so elegant. And, I am a chipmunk on a wheel. I mean, that is my MO. But this gets me off the wheel.
Yes.
When I do it.
That is the key to pretty much everything. Yes.
Yeah, I'm not a big habit girl.
Yeah,
so,
you and me both.
It's just not the way I necessarily do it. So,
but one of the things that I can tell you for me is that'll prompt me to capture something.
Yeah.
Is if I have an idea and then it doesn't go away, because sometimes I have ideas that just, that would be cool. And it doesn't stick. But if I've kind of trained myself that if I have an idea that keeps resurfacing up to 3 times, by the 3rd time, I will capture it for sure.
Oh, that's brilliant. Right, because I have people who present ideas to me, or somebody will have an idea. I'm like, okay. Nice. Yeah, there are about 6 million things I could do. That's a nice one. And then somebody else comes to me with that idea. This is what's just happened to me. And somebody else comes to me with that idea. And then I had a 4th person come to me with
yes.
I was like, okay, that's not an idea. That's a thing. That's a thing. So, again, being conscious of how many times that comes up in front of you, which, by the way, is a function of getting the stuff out of your head, and getting it somewhere so that you can notice this pattern. I think that's really important.
Yeah, when you've shared an idea, that's another thing. When you've shared an idea and people keep coming back to you.
Oh, no. This is even better.
What?
All 4 of those people came to me with the idea. This was not even something I was thinking about. And they all came to me with this idea.
Interesting.
And I was like, That's when I pay attention.
Mm-hmm.
I can have the same idea 4 times. But when it's like out, people are always giving me ideas. You should do this. You should do that. You should do that. Well, the first person who said it, somebody I respect a whole lot. It was Stephanie. So I paid attention. And then 2 women from Next Chapter came to me with almost the identical idea. Oh, no, it's 3. Well, I'm counting each of those. Mm-hmm. And then the 4th came across on LinkedIn the other day because somebody liked something and I hadn't talked to him in a while. I said, hey, dude, what's up? And he goes, you should do this, Becky. And it was the same thing. And I was like, what the what?
Yep.
Okay, universe. I don't need a mallet. I don't need a hammer.
Well, and that's,
I got it.
But that's the thing. I mean, that's another great example, though, because this wasn't stuff that was in your head you had to capture. This was stuff that was coming at you.
Right.
And so capturing
it's everything.
Yeah.
It's literally,
because
I can't stress this enough. It's everything. Mm-hmm. It's an email you need to return. You capture it before you do anything with it.
Yep.
Right? In a pre-technology age, we put everything in file folders. I still do. I still have a ton of file folders. Yeah. So I have stuff that might be in file folders and other stuff that's in Noseby or Evernote, but I know where it is. It's only in 1 of 3 places. It's in a file folder, it's in Noseby, it's in Evernote. So instead of being able to be on any surface in my house, my car, my brain, it's in one of those 3 places. And he really emphasizes the importance of, keeping down the number of your, what he calls, inboxes.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And then the clarifying part, boy, that was amazing. Oh, wait, let me go back to capturing because I see something at the bottom that I forgot to say. This even includes projects. You don't plan out the project yet. You just put that this is a project. I want to paint the house. Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, your button.
I want to do whatever it is. That's those are included in what you capture. You don't plan it. You capture it because the next step is clarify. You talk about this. You liked this one a lot.
Well, one of the things that I visualized, oh my gosh, my mouth is not working today, with that is the process of getting the mail because, my mail's captured in my mailbox and I have my trash cans in the garage or my recycle bin in the garage. And so I go through my mail before I ever bring it into the house now.
Right.
That was like a huge thing for me because you get so much stuff.
Oh, right. And so much of it is, 2/3 of my mail is always trash.
And the whole thing about clarifying is you're processing. So you're processing what you need, just basically by the mail. So that's one way to even start learning to do this is just start with something simple like your mail and
concrete.
Mm-hmm. And I go back to my essentialism, is this something that is important to me now?
Yeah.
And some of it I might file or, put, if it's a coupon that I might, of a restaurant I want to try or something like that, or a bill I have to pay.
See, but you're capturing it.
Yep.
You're capturing it in the right location.
I'm capturing it and then I'm clarifying it before I bring it into organize.
Right. Exactly. And that's what you want to do. And he has, if you've ever heard of the 2-minute rule, that's his. It's David Allen's. And that is, if something is in your hand, on your computer, in your inbox, and it takes 2 minutes or less to do it then. Mm-hmm. Do it then. Return that email that's asking, can you meet at XYZ time on XYZ date? Doesn't take 2 minutes to catch, it takes like 2 minutes to look at your calendar and figure that out. Return it. Don't put it away to deal with later. Do it. The mail, you're standing right there. I do the same thing. Boom. So much stuff never even makes it in the house.
Yeah.
So make sure it's really what you want. Is it something you need? Is it something you're going to use in the future? And if it's going to take more than 2 minutes, then it goes into a project or a to-do list or something. And to-do list and priority list are 2 different things.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I usually, the words that come into my mind when I go through stuff, when I go through this whole process is, does it add value?
Yeah.
Is it necessary? Things like that.
And he talks about that in project planning, about knowing the value of something and having already thought through that so that
and have that, yes, definitely have that in mind. That's where we talked about the book Essentialism in the last episode comes into play. If you already know what your priorities are, if you already know what your parameters are, then you can easily go through something and clarify it and say, yes, this is important, I kind of like the power on in my house. Lights are kind of important, so I think I'll keep that bill, keep the water bills, that's kind of thing. But do I really care for this braces ad or whatever?
Yeah. Done with that, so you don't have to keep it. Exactly. Exactly. So, you act on it if it takes less than 2 minutes, you delegate it if you can, and then you put it on a list if you can. And that's step 3, organize it. And you don't put it on a single list. That's why I love Nosby. He firmly believes in having like a gigantic to-do list. In Nosby, they call it your inbox. So every single thing thought that comes in my mind is in the inbox.
Okay. Then
I clarify it, and then I organize it. Because if I go, I need to do this to my Facebook page, then I need to add this to my website to use it, what I'm doing with Facebook, and then I need to do this, that's a Facebook project. And then I put the items inside of the project. So that's how you build out projects or single to-do items, right?
Yeah.
So anything that has a date is a priority only on that date. You don't carry it forward for a month. If it's a month out, you put it out there. And in Nosby, which I'll just say I just love to death, you can set your priorities. You put a little star, so you can move it from inbox to priority just by clicking on the star or putting a date on it, and then it automatically goes to priority on that date, of course.
Yeah.
It gets to the priority list, and I go, uh-oh, change the date. But again, it's all captured there. So that's how you organize it.
Yeah, and since my schedule tends to fluctuate greatly based on the fact that I still have 2 kids at home, what I tend to do is even narrow things down even tighter and look at my schedule and what can I get done today? What do I need to get done today?
That's what I do.
And just focus on today.
Right.
Because so many people, I've got this all month. If you get too far out, then you're still crowding your head.
Do you remember this thing I have? This day board thing I use on my computer? Where whenever I open a tab, it shows me a 5-item to-do list. Oh, yeah. That's what I do with the top 5 things in my priority list. Like I've got 16 today. 16 on the priority list right now. So I put it's your 5 most important tasks. So whenever I open a tab in my browser, it shows me those tasks. And that's been amazing.
Yeah, and I'll do something just as simple as like a Post-it note on my computer. And I will feel like I have accomplished something, and I'll star like the number 1 thing. Right. I will feel like I've had an accomplished day if this gets done.
Right. And that's that should always be
because that way thing. You're not beating yourself up. And create that upper priority, and then if I get everything else done,
gravy.
Some of it, yeah.
That's awesome. Well, then step number 4 is the one we all leave out. Every one of us. Okay? Unless you're like a superhuman, project manager type.
It's the one I always intend to do.
Right. Reflect. Right? Review it. Look at those projects. That's why at one point I had 300 and something things in my inbox because when I put it into projects, I forgot about it. But then I figured out how to make that work. Any system like this, any project plan, anything we do, only works if we take a minute to reflect on it. Is this working? Let me review what I've done. Do I need to shift priorities? Do I need to do this? Because it's an ecosystem and it changes.
And you have to, there's some people that want it to stay rigid and they don't allow for that movement.
Which is why I like technology. Because it has a whole lot less scratching out, and I just like move it around, and I'm like, okay, this will work. Plus, it has all the pieces for me. I don't have to find like 16 pieces of paper, but you can reflect on a piece of paper. A lot of people do it on Fridays. Some people do it on Mondays. I intend to do it on Sundays. I usually do it on Mondays. It's just such a critical piece.
Yeah, and set that as in your schedule. I mean, book it in there. It's such a high priority that you need to schedule it.
Oh, yeah, I put it in my calendar. I coach. I've written about it. It's an integral part of my goal setting thing.
Yep.
Be nice if I did it myself. I like what he says in there right there. It says, look over your list. This is on his website. Look over your list as often as necessary to trust your choices about what to do next. To trust your choices about what to do next. Isn't that great?
That is really key. That's really well written. Yeah, I like that.
I got good glasses. I can see it over there.
Yeah.
Right? Trust your choices.
Because we tend to second guess ourselves.
Right? Well, and things change. You know, like we were just talking about. I think this is really speaking to both. Mm-hmm. Right? To both. Yep. To not second guessing ourselves, and then to know that we've changed it based on whatever our changed priorities are.
Mm-hmm. I really like that. And sometimes, I mean, some of the things that I have that I want to keep top of mind, and I just post on my mirror in my bathroom.
I know you do.
Because that's one place awesome. I know I'm going to be.
That's pretty awesome.
Mm-hmm. And, I mean, you're brushing your teeth. You got plenty of time to review some of these top of mind things.
I like that. And then the last one is to do it, engage, which could be make that phone call. Mm-hmm. It could be do step 1 on that project. So the engage part is the next step. It's not the whole thing.
Yes, that's right? What I think is the key.
It's not the whole thing. What's the next step? You've laid it out. Now what are you going to do for the next step?
Yeah, and it's really helpful, again, to go back to focusing and being present and say, okay, what can I do today to get one step closer to this thing?
Right.
Maybe it's create an outline. Maybe it doesn't send an email. It doesn't have to be huge. Right. You're not getting from point A to the end. It's just to point B.
Well, there are all those famous quotes about those little tiny steps. They get up to big distances.
Yep.
If you take those on a regular basis.
But for some reason, we tend to get so overwhelmed, even when we know that. Mm-hmm. Because, well, I don't know anybody who likes to hurry to the end.
No, I don't either. I like to jump to the end and go back to the beginning.
But, yeah, it's that is, it doesn't, don't let the steps, the end result, paralyze you from taking that step.
Right. And the advantage of this method is that if you go through it, even just like halfway, you will have created the steps because you'll have taken the time. Now, we will say that step 3, organize, also has a project piece in there that he goes into in depth in his book. And I think we're going to save that for another conversation. What do you think?
Oh, yeah, we can talk about that all day.
Right?
And we want to keep the podcast at a relatively manageable amount of time.
Right? So, and plus, I like that you and I have similar yet different ways of going about projects, so that could be another really good discussion like this one, because we have a lot of things in common, but we have different approaches too.
Absolutely.
So that one comes under number 2 and 3, clarify and organize. So I think in conclusion, this just gives me space in my mind, and let's just call it a cage for the squirrels. It's a cage for those squirrels that are always running around in my head, or the next bright shiny thing. Ooh, no, I like that analogy better. This is like a beautiful case for all those bright shiny things that come into my head, right?
It's your jewelry box, your treasure chest.
It's my treasure chest for all those things that just are always, for me, coming into my head. So this methodology gives me a way to conquer that bright shiny object syndrome, or whatever. So
whatever you want to call it. Yep.
Yeah. All right. So I think we've got to think a minute for our stamp of brilliance. So we're gonna take a second, and we're gonna be right back.
Alrighty. Our stamp of brilliance for today is: your mind is for having ideas, not holding them. And that's a quote from David Allen.
That's it. That covers it all.
Yep.
He got it done.
So thank you for listening. If you enjoyed the podcast, please share it with a friend. Also, take a minute to rate it and leave a review on iTunes. Check out our website at uniquelybrilliant.me and sign up to have the podcast delivered directly to your inbox. Shoot any thoughts, comments, and suggestions to us at uniquelybrilliant.me. You can also reach out to us on our Facebook page, and don't forget to like us.
Until next time.